Well folks, it's time to talk about Activision and what they've recently done with the Call of Duty Warzone API. Now if you're unaware of what I'm talking about, Call of Duty recently changed the way its profile system works, which now actively sets everybody's profiles, stats and information to private. And this basically means it's impossible to check the SBMM of a lobby, and it also means that it's nearly impossible to check if there's a cheater in the lobby using the Overwolf overlay. For those of you unaware, a recent website called SBMM Warzone, which is still operating with a good degree of accuracy, was recently posting the difficulty of individual lobbies on their website and ranking the lobbies based on the SBMM. There's a link in the description below if you want to check them out. They're a great website, they're trying to do really great things for transparency in game, and I highly recommend you do. Likewise, there was a similar application called the Overwolf overlay, which allowed you to see if there was cheaters in your lobby on PC. Some people argued this overlay was allowing people to pick and choose specific lobbies and, choose if they had a high skill or low skill lobby. But ultimately, it was one way to validly see that cheaters existed in your lobby. And this was all accessible via the Call of Duty Warzone API, which is an official API from Call of Duty that allowed them to pull this information from the game servers. So what did they do? They set all the profiles to private, and in doing so made this task much more difficult and effectively wiped out the Overwolf overlay. SBMM Warzone is still claiming to operate with 95% accuracy, but I imagine this is a step in a bad direction for that website, and ultimately hiding SBMM. Now I want to talk about the hypothetical reasons for why Activision did it, but I want to start with something else, and what I want to start with is that this was done within 11 days of SBMMWarzone.com existing. They changed the privacy of every single account in Warzone within 11 days. And there are some reasons behind it, some of which are perfectly valid, others are just completely mental. But I want to talk about the fact that this is something that is not a huge problem to the gaming industry, not a huge problem to Call of Duty, but did in fact allow players to see that SBMM was hindering their situation, and actually allowed players to see if cheaters were in their lobby, which is something that Activision and Call of Duty themselves don't take seriously. Crossplay is forced on Xbox and PC players, and that means that Xbox players also suffer from this, and PS4 players, if they disable it, have a terrible time matchmaking. So this is something that affects a lot of players, and I'm telling you here and now that, last night I streamed, for example, and I played, possibly about 7 or 8 games. 3 or 4 of those had cheaters in them. In my first game last night, I died instantly to a hacker who was aimbotting. Activision are a multi-billion-pound corporation, and Call of Duty is worth infinite amount of money to them, and they still don't want to pay for a real anti-cheat. They still don't want to put the money down in investment for a game that allegedly makes $3 million a day so that people don't have to suffer with cheaters. They changed the privacy settings for every single account to hide SBMM and make it easier for cheaters to not be identified in 11 days, but they still haven't got an anti-cheat for a game that released in March of last year. And there is so much that they could do in order to stop cheaters. For example, making it a requirement to have a phone number associated with your account, and make that a 100% thing that you have to have. Make sure that your account has a legitimate pay method and charge people, a small amount of money for Warzone. That's not to take Warzone away from being free to play, but verify that they are who they say they are and that their account information is correct. They could region lock servers with ping limitations, and this is the craziest thing about Warzone. Call of Duty Warzone is a game that does not have detection for injections and malicious software. Now, any other anti-cheat, easy anti-cheat, battle eye, fair fight, whatever it happens to be, they actively scan your system. They will scan your computer as you play the game to see if there are any malicious programs that are injecting software or trying to tamper with the game in any way, shape or form, which gets rid of a fair number of cheaters. Battle eye is incredibly successful on Rainbow Six Siege, for example. But Call of Duty Warzone has none of this. So they've managed to, in 11 days, hide skill-based matchmaking from their entire player base, and also make it much easier for cheaters to get away with cheating. And they did that in 11 days. But they can't introduce anti-cheat. It blows my mind. That's just something I had to get off my chest, because it really infuriates me that a company who is capable of hiding transparency, getting rid of transparency from their video game, isn't capable of solving a problem that has been in the game since day one. And it absolutely blows my mind that we've had broken weapons, broken metas, we've had glitches, bugs, hackers, cheaters, but they managed to fix people seeing SBMM in 11 days. Now, there is basically one valid reason for why they've decided to make this data private, and it has nothing to do with privacy laws. I mean, signing up under the terms of services of Call of Duty basically means that they have a right to use this information however they see fit. And the way I see it, there is one valid reason for why they would do it, and there are lots of other reasons that involve just covering their own asses. There is one, possibly, potentially small valid reason, and that was the SBMM and revealing SBMM and revealing all of these streamers who were, often playing earlier in the day to get easy lobbies, allegedly some of which using exploits to avoid SBMM, meant that these people were being actively harassed in-game, being targeted, they were being targeted by people on social media, and to some degree, yes, Activision and Call of Duty have a responsibility and duty of care to make sure that some information like that isn't publicly available to be weaponized, or at the bare minimum, at least explain the situation regarding these lobbies. So I guess in their books, the slight valid reason was, well, people were being harassed, so we just flipped the switch. But the real valid reason is very simple. It's a very simply valid reason. And that was that people were finally talking about cheaters and SBMM so significantly that they felt the need to hide face. People were having discussions on skill-based matchmaking and talking about the negative detrimental effects it was having on the game, as well as the large percentage of cheaters that existed in Call of Duty Warzone, and it was making the perspective of Warzone so bad and made the game look so terrible, which in some places it absolutely is, that they were willing to make these changes in 11 days to try and save themselves. Now, if you're unfamiliar with some of the issues of SBMM, yes, people hiding, circumventing, skipping SBMM is a problem, but the bigger problem is how SBMM treats the average player. I've talked about this extensively in another video, and I'll leave this in a link in the description below. You'll probably see it on screen too. But effectively, if you're somebody who has a 9-to-5 job and you come home and play Warzone, if the people you're playing with aren't the same skill as you, you're ruined. The game, basically doesn't account for other people's skill. Playing with any of your friends who are of a lower skill barrier basically just means that you get dunked on completely. The best example I can give of that is that if you're a diamond player and you matchmake with two of your friends who are silver, your two silver friends will be put in a diamond lobby. You won't be put in a silver lobby. The next thing as well is that in order to avoid SBMM being so harsh, people play at off-peak hours. And, you can see this on my own SBMM profile. I don't hide this stuff, it doesn't bother me. Yes, when I am off work, I do record and stream earlier in the day. Mainly because I want to finish work by the same time that my family has finished their traditional 9-to-5 jobs, and I want to finish my YouTube work at the same time as then, so I can go downstairs, have dinner, have a chill evening, whatever it so happens to be. But it also does come with the added streamer benefit, the streamer bonus of if I am off work and I do stream at like midday, I do get relatively easy lobbies because it's off-peak hours. Now, that's not necessarily an issue, there's always going to be people who play at off-peak hours, even if it does come with the added bonus of avoiding SBMM. The issue is that everybody who has a regular 9-to-5 job, which is most of the working world, it means that when they come home, they are guaranteed to get silver, diamond, gold lobbies every single time. They'll never get lower skill lobbies, they'll never get games where SBMM is slightly kinder to them and they might get one slightly easier game. That isn't the case. If you play at peak hours, which most people do when they come home from work or school or whatever it is, it means that SBMM actively punishes those people for playing the game and never gives them any variance to have a fair or reasonable lobby. When I play duos, trios, or quads at peak hours, I am always in diamond lobbies. I am constantly in the top 1% lobbies, and when I stream after work, which is traditionally sort of like 5:30 to sort of 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, which is when some people would play after work, I get those lobbies all the time. I recently did buy back solos, and although that wasn't ranked by SBMM Warzone, the average KD of those lobbies was insane, and I could feel the jump shots, the drop shots, the jump peeking, the bunny hopping, and it was very obvious that I'm in diamond lobbies there. But when I stream earlier in the day, I get relatively easier lobbies, I can relax, I can kind of be entertaining and have a good time, and it just means that the average person doing a 9-to-5 or school or university or whatever it is just constantly being dunked on. And there were lots of other negative behaviors that we saw as well. And again, all of these are in that video, feel free to check it out. But fundamentally, it just means that the average player in Warzone is constantly being affected by SBMM to the point where the game is actively almost punishing them for playing the game. And once we were finally having these conversations, once we were finally talking about SBMM and having a small degree of transparency, Call of Duty flipped the switch, Activision flipped the switch, and completely disabled all of this transparency. And I'll be honest with you, it's incredibly jarring. They are a company now who is so filled with bureaucracy, so filled with, you know, getting 100 different cogs in the machine to figure it out before they can do something, that issues like this aren't being addressed. A good example of this is the other day when Raven Software tweeted the second DMR patch. They did that tweet on a twit longer, and they actually had to delete it the first time. Because there's so many communication errors, so many bureaucracy levels of people who have to get approval from other people, and other people have to approve that, in order for them to even talk about Call of Duty Warzone, that so many issues just slip through the cracks. They could actively talk about SBMM and Warzone, they could talk about the fact that maybe there are some issues with it that need looking at, they could talk about the fact that, you know, there are some problems and people are circumventing it, and there are a lot of hackers and cheaters at the moment in Warzone. But they don't want to do these things, and rather than have the decency and good approach that people would expect them to have in just simply addressing the issue and explaining the issue, the easy answer for them was literally just to, you know, pull the curtains over everybody's eyes and be like, haha, nothing to see here. To be honest with you, I don't really know what I expected. You know, this is Call of Duty, and they have been getting better over the years, you know. We went from games like Infinite and Advanced Warfare, which literally had play-to-win elements in the game, to games like Modern Warfare, where the game is very consumer-friendly, and gives people loads of free weapons, loads of free guns, and encourages them to invest in the game if they're enjoying it. And the simple fact of the matter is that model is fantastic, and I'm really glad that Call of Duty got to that place. But if they don't maintain the same level of decency and transparency with the systems within those games, then people won't respect the decisions they've made, and people won't purchase cosmetics, and people will eventually stop playing the game. SBMM got to Fortnite first, and they never really spoke about it, and the ranking system in Fortnite is very strict, but at least there is a ranking system in Fortnite, and the sweatiest players can earn rewards for what they're doing in-game, and even be invited to tournaments. In Call of Duty Warzone, there is none of these systems. You don't get rewarded for being in a sweaty lobby. You don't even know that you're in a sweaty lobby. And unless they have the transparency to come out and talk about these things, then the game will die a slow death. The player count will drop. Yes, Fortnite is still a fantastic game, and there's still loads of people playing it and whatever and so forth. But that game went from being the #1 spotlight in the video game community to living a very long, slow, and painfully visible death. So many content creators jumped ship, so many streamers jumped ship, the average player got demoralized, and a lot of people left that game. If a new Battle Royale releases and comes out with any kind of competition to COD Warzone, and is transparent about these issues, or simply doesn't have them in the game, then they'll stomp all over this. And nobody wants to see that with Warzone, because it is a fun game to play when things go well. It's a fun game to play when there aren't hackers, and there aren't cheaters, and there isn't a broken meta, and there isn't all of these issues going on. And so many of us see that potential there. Anywho folks, that's about it for this video today. I just wanted to talk on this topic because it's something that really frustrates me, and something that, you know, look, I'm willing to admit as much as the next guy. You know, I have silver and bronze lobbies because on my few days off of work, because I do have a regular 9-to-5 job, you know, I do stream earlier in the day, and, you know, you can look at any top streamer, and most of them now stream earlier in the day because they just know that A, it means they get to have a regular day like anybody else, but B, it also means that they can avoid these issues. There are less hackers, there are less cheaters, there are less sweaty lobbies earlier in the day, so people are naturally gravitating towards that. But fundamentally, this doesn't help the average player, the average 9-to-5 player who has a job, has school, has something to do, and when they come home, they get greeted with a really bad experience. So I just wanted to speak on that, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, please leave a sub, chat to me in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.